In 1995, Pixar started a 25-year-long tradition of casting one famous voice actor. His voice appeared in every single Pixar film up until 2020. Suddenly, his voice was no more. I am, of course, talking about John Ratzenberger, Pixar's Goodluck charm. In 2020, Pete Docter, the head of the studio and director of Soul, was asked why did John Ratzenberger not reprise his consistent roles in a Pixar film. Now, despite a cheeky technicality that we're going to go on to in a little bit, Pete said that the studio wanted to take his cameo in a new direction, which is a shame because he's been such a big part, and especially for the fandom and for probably you guys watching this video, we like John Ratzenberger. Get him back. All hope for this new tradition did halt when he did not appear in Turning Red, Lightyear, Luca, or Elemental, of course last year's Pixar release, to which, to be honest, I could probably fit him into many different roles, so it wouldn't have been too hard. He did, however, return in this summer's Inside Out 2 to voice his character that he did voice in the first film, Fritz, but it is yet to be confirmed if he is appearing in this year's later release of Win or Lose, Pixar's first original TV show, outside obviously things like Cars, things like that, Toy Story. We also don't know if he's going to be in Elio, or newly announced at D23 this summer, Incredibles 3, or Hoppers. Of course, he is due to return in Toy Story 5, reprising his role as Hamm. Now, some have speculated that John has actually retired from acting, but I don't think that's the case. I think, firstly, and the community deserve, at least an announcement of that in some way, shape, or form. Plus, he has appeared in other voice acting roles since then. Obviously, as I say, due to come back in Toy Story 5 as well. Plus, he voiced a character in 2022 for Skydance Animation's Luck, which was produced by longtime friend and film colleague John Lasseter. Of course, used to be the CEO of Pixar, but maybe Ratzenberger just moved elsewhere, who knows. But with 2025 round the corner and many Pixar titles on the horizon, I really do hope that we see the return of this legend. So in the spirit of his return, let's go through every single character that John Ratzenberger has voiced since 1995's Toy Story, and how he became the Pixar Goodluck charm. Hi, my name is Luis, I'm a filmmaker and just general film nerd. Here on the channel we cover all things Disney, parks, animation, films in general, so please, if you like this sort of content, please hit that like and subscribe button down below. It's free, you can unsubscribe at any time. So, let's get into it. John, who is he? What does he do? John is an American comedian and actor, mainly known for his role as Cliff Calvin in the comedy series Cheers, but his first Pixar project came to us in 1995. Of course, Pixar's first film, Toy Story. A film that not only made his career soar, but it changed the world of film forever, especially in the animation industry. For those of you who don't know, Toy Story was the first ever fully 3D animated film, and it still blows us away today just as much as it did back in 1995. And of course, technology has come on a little bit since then. We all know the differences between Scud from the first Toy Story and the cat from the antique store in 2019's Toy Story 4, and of course technology has just improved since then. Of course, Toy Story had an all-star cast that included John Ratzenberger in his first role with the studio. Of course, he did play, as mentioned, the lovable character Hamm, the piggy bank that belongs to Andy.
Hey, Hamm! Look! I'm Picasso!
I don't get it.
You uncultured swine!
John's portrayal of Hamm has earned him one of the most credible voice acting roles not only in Pixar but in animation history. He's one of the most beloved characters in the Toy Story franchise, and of course is one of the massive main members of the gang, appearing alongside legends such as Wallace Shawn, Don Rickles, and of course Tim Allen and Tom Hanks. He then went on to voice Hamm in all 4 feature Toy Story films, including all of the spin-off series, which are just the copious amounts there are, the short films, which thoroughly deserve a watch, and the ungodly amount of spin-off TV shows, specials, video games released under the Toy Story IP. There are so many of them. I actually plan on doing a Toy Story playthrough in some way, shape or form from the Toy Story 3 video game, so let me know if you'd like to see that on the channel. John's second project with the studio came slightly later, and it brought a slightly smaller role for him. The heavily underrated Bug's Life. It blessed our screens in 1997 and brought a plethora of crazy characters with it. This includes the lovable, crazy P.T. Flea. Owner of the circus, all-round nutcase, fantastic character. I would have loved to animate him. This second character beautifully showcases John's versatility as a voice actor, and thus he did then become the recurring role that we know and love. In an interview, John actually mentioned that P.T. Flea was his favourite character he voiced out of any other Pixar film. And I don't blame him. Show some love for Bug's Life. Monsters Inc. was next, and it saw John take on an even smaller role than a Bug's Life. But that did not stop him from becoming a fan favourite. Monsters Inc. gave John the chance to make fantasy a reality with his portrayal of the abominable snowman. Sorry, adorable snowman.
Welcome to the Himalayas!
John then reprised his role in the prequel 2013 Monsters University, where we do actually see the abominable snowman, adorable snowman even, in the mailroom in the post-credit scene of the film. Obviously, before he was banished and before everything kicked off in the events of Monsters, Inc.
I'll have you know tampering with the mail is a crime punishable by banishment. Yes, sir. We're right on it.
A lovely bit of story building, world building for us anyway.
Snow cone? No, don't worry. It's lemon.
The next year's Finding Nemo would then offer John his smallest role yet, but in a very fun and unique way. When Marlin and Dory are asking for directions, he is one of the main fish in this school of shape-shifting fish. In fact, the one that is most vocal of them all.
What's that what I played? Give me directed. Me, blah, 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 me.
Continuing the streak of slightly smaller roles, yet still iconic, John Ratzenberger played, of course, the Underminer in Incredibles. This time they saved John's character for the very last few minutes of the film.
Behold the Underminer!
When Dash finally wins that race. All is happy until the Underminer shows up, and of course, we know what happens from that point onwards. A very small role, but of course he did reprise that role in the 2018 sequel, with the sort of opening of that film taking place exactly straight after the first one had finished. Who knows what will happen for the third installment? He just could be coming back. He's like a plague. We'll probably see the return of this undefeated villain, because he just keeps escaping. Which personally, I wouldn't mind. I think it's quite a nice gag. 2005 then came round, and just as it did for me, inspiring me to work for the Disney company, which has been fantastic, this film was hugely loved by the cast and crew in general. Of course, I'm talking about Cars. Cars gave John's biggest role in a few years, where he played Mack. Of course, the sort of truck that ships Lightning McQueen around. A pretty big role with some seriously funny moments. Very slept on character in my opinion. By far, one of Ratzenberger's best. But John went on to continue the role in, of course, the sequels Cars 2 and Cars 3 as well. And again, just as he did for Hamm, voiced him in all of the ridiculous amounts of spin-offs, sequels, video games, everything. The Cars and Toy Story franchises have definitely been rinsed. But they're all pretty good, so. Ratzenberger actually owns a record because the most amount of characters he voiced in one film actually belongs to Cars with 4. Of course, Mack being one of them. But during the post-credit scene, we actually see Mack watching a set of Pixar films in car format. But it's when Mack is seen at the Radiator Springs Drive-In Theatre. This is a fantastic blooper scene at the end, runs during the post-credits. Pixar, why did you stop doing it? He's watching car-themed versions of Toy Story.
You are a toy car!
You are a sad, strange little wagon, and you have my pity. Farewell.
Oh, yeah? Well, good riddance, you loony.
Hey, I hate to break up the road rally, guys, but they're here! Birthday guests at 3 o'clock!
Oh, man. Whoever does the voice of that piggy truck, I'm telling you, he's one great actor.
Monsters, Inc.
We're banished, genius, stuck out here in this wasteland without chains.
But Mike, the Boo-Mobile's in trouble. She needs our help.
You're still not listening.
Welcome to the Himalayas! Snow cone?
Oh, that abominable snowplow is quite the comic thespian.
And A Bug's Life.
Just get in there. Go, 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 go. Circus cars? How can you be circus cars?
These are the lousiest circus cars in the world, and they're gonna make me rich!
And of course, we do see Ratzenberger's versions of his characters, which I think is fantastic. And although Mack is initially impressed, he soon realizes that the same voice actor is just being reused, leaving him to comment,
Wait a minute here. They're just using the same actor over and over. What kind of a cut-rate production is this?
Personally, I think is absolutely fantastic because, of course, that is exactly what they're doing with his voice. The following years then saw Pixar release a string of bangers. Of course, all of the ones so far have been classic after classic, yet unfortunately providing the smallest roles for John. In Ratatouille, he played the wonderful waiter that everybody loves, Mustafá, or Mustafá, however you say that.
Say love it!
Was the dinosaur already asking about it? About linguine? I have 7 more orders!
Wall-E then followed in 2008, this time with a slightly larger role in terms of the part, but also in terms of the character, because John, played by John, is a rather large man. Doesn't help if you're drinking cupcake from a cup, which, if you've all seen Film Theory, is not a cupcake from a cup. But yes, of course, he does play John, the human that breaks away from that social norm of being stuck inside their own technological bubble. Again, aptly named, John.
Stuart? Hello?
Please remain stationary. A service bot will be here to assist you momentarily.
2009 then saw John return to the smaller roles, this time for Up, where he voiced the construction worker Tom, who, bless him, was only trying to do his job, but a fun voice nonetheless.
Well, just to let you know, my boss will be happy to take this whole place off your hands and for double his last offer. What do you say to that? Take that as a no then.
The early 2010s then saw John do a lot of sequels and things like that. However, in 2012, he did lend his voice to the character in Brave Gordon. Probably a very small part for him, actually. And the reason for that is because he was most likely recording for the sequels he was about to release and that are releasing. Of course, Toy Story 3, Cars 2, and Monsters University. And of course, yes, there's a sort of 4 to 5 year span of that. However, as we know, these films don't take 6 months to make. These are in production for between 4 to 11 years. Can't wait to get back to it. A few years later, then he gave his unique voice to Inside Out's Fritz.
Alright, here you go. Your new expanded console is up and running.
He played the MindWorker, of course the one that actually installed the console at the end of the first film, the one with the puberty button, the one we then see the fallout of in Inside Out 2. We actually saw John return as Fritz in 2024's Inside Out 2, nearly 4 years since his last role, and only very briefly. And that's when we saw them head to the sarcasm.
That's a sarcasm! It can open for miles! Run for your lives!
Boy, are we so lucky we ran into you guys! Boy, are we so lucky we ran into you guys!
Huh? Wow. Those guys are jerks.
2015 saw his second role of the year, this time in the beautifully animated The Good Dinosaur. Again, criminally underrated, because this film is just beautiful. This time playing the evil Raptor Earl. And 2016 saw the return of some slightly smaller roles, including the lovable crab Bill, the one who was cutting his lawn in Finding Dory. Again, criminally underrated film. And probably one of the smallest ones in his entire career, 2017's COCO. He played Juan Ortodoncia, which is completely butchered by myself. Spanish name, no hablo español, sorry. But the name here is genius because, of course, Juan Ortodoncia, it's named after the Spanish word for orthodontist, which is fitting because this is what the guy looks like. Massive braces. And an orthodontist, for those of you who don't know, is someone who deals with teeth.
Next, your photos are your dentist's ofrenda. Enjoy your visit.
Gracias.
Next.
After that, other than more sequel reprises like Cars 3, Incredibles 2, his last vocal performance was in Onward. Just as the pandemic shocked the world, thankfully he managed to record this before everything went on to Disney+. I remember watching Onward in the cinema and then like a month later everything went crazy. He plays the construction worker Fenwick. And finally, rounding off the 2020s and his final role, this time not vocal. Weirdly enough, he's a voice actor. What? Now, this is the technicality I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Because he didn't actually voice a character in Soul, he gave his likeness to a character in Soul. So this time he was physically in the film rather than behind it. Which I guess is a fun way of taking his character and taking his cameo to a whole new level. But bring it back, bring him back. So, on that, the future. Where does it lead us? As I said, we have no idea of his potential in Elio. I hope that he plays a monster in some way, shape or form. Of course, Elio is looking beautiful. It was supposed to come out this summer, but due to rewrites and things like that, audience weren't quite resonating with it the way they wanted to. They've rewritten the film, swapped it in the slate for Inside Out 2. Inside Out 2 came out this year. And of course, as we know from D23, we got a brand new look at Elio, which is coming out next summer. Or if you're watching this in 2025, say hi for me. Comment below. Then, of course, Hoppers, a brand new film which has been announced. Literally nothing on that. It would be amazing for him to have a big role in this, but highly doubtful. But of course, as we mentioned, Toy Story 5, it is confirmed, it is coming. And of course, it's going to be the most likely candidate to see John's return. No official confirmation, but due to the concept photos we've seen, it's a pretty safe bet. Speaking of the concept photos, why is Woody with the gang? Anyway, I digress. We'll go into that in another video. Toy Story 5 will be the most likelihood for John to return. Of course, with the gang, they could use archival footage, how they did with Don Rickles. Obviously, sadly, the voice behind Mr. Potato Head, one of the most iconic characters in the franchise, probably my favourite of the gang. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple years ago, just before Toy Story 4. So they used archival footage from his recordings from Toy Story 1, 2 and 3. I don't think they'd do the same thing with John Ratzenberger, mainly because he's not dead. But hopefully the backlash of the ridiculously small screen time in Toy Story 4 gets rectified. I want to see something similar to the Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3 sort of way. Obviously, for me, what makes the Toy Story films is the gang, not Buzz and Woody, and especially seeing as Woody is supposed to have gone. I don't know how they're going to spin themselves out of that one. But from concept images, hopefully we're going to be treated, because the story at the moment follows the gang battling with the generation of the iPad kid, and of course, Pixar legend Andrew Stanton, the mind behind Finding Nemo and all that jazz. He is at the helm of Toy Story 5, so hopefully bringing that Pixar legend back, who knows exactly what the film should be, and of course is part of the Pixar Brain Trust. Hopefully this is a Toy Story 2-3 style film, because the original Toy Story trilogy, one of the best in existence. For me, it's the gang that carries it. I really do hope we see more of John again, not only because he's a fan favourite, but I just think it's such a lovely tradition to do. Yes, it might get completely unnoticed by half of the people in the world, but for those of you who've watched this video, need I say more? And to be honest, even if he is done with it, I'd love a final hurrah, even if it's just an end credit scene, or a thank you at the end. But I really hope we see one last role. If they really are going in a new direction with physical cameos, then sure, do those, but make it more known. But that's it. That's all of John Ratzenberger's roles with the Pixar Animation Studios from 1995 all the way up to modern day into the end of 2024. If you guys did like this video, we've also got one of these on Alan Tudyk. We released that alongside the release of Wish. Of course, he is Disney Animation Studios' Goodluck charm, voicing an animated character in pretty much all of their 3D animated films. So go and check that one out now. Link down below, click the card, all that jazz. But thank you very much. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. If you did get this far, let me know. Who's your favourite character that John Ratzenberger's voiced? Is there anyone you think that he could voice in the future? And hopefully I will see you in a future video. Stay safe. Peace.